Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last QHHT Hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session. I want to refer to Lorrayne. I'm speaking to my practitioner who's asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session. I want to refer to me. I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from the 25th dimension. I'm going to start reading here, but before I do, I would like to thank you as always for subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. It really does make me happy to see your comments and to interact. I know we built an amazing community here, and I'm really very grateful for it. So I'm going to jump in here. Lorrayne, you said that there is no timeline for the recall. When it happens, it's based on when we consciously absorb the fact that we create our reality. You've also said that there is no specific number of us that has to learn this, or a degree to which we have to learn this, since you've told us that we are not here to learn anything. So why is the recall not happening yet, considering that I've had many dreams in which I feel like we have completed this task and I'm not the only one who feels good about the work done? What additional emotional work must be finished before we can manifest a recall? And I have to tell you, I fibbed a little bit here because actually in the dreams that I had at the time of this session, which was a couple of months ago on April 6th, to be precise, I actually always dreamed that I was almost completed, but not completed just yet. So, but I wanted to see, I'm impatient, and I wanted to see what the 25th had to say about this. Me. Yeah, so Claire's trying to quantify almost. We are not completed, otherwise the recall would have happened. So we do feel like we're nearing completion. We've spoken about this. And that's when we said it's around the corner. And around the corner doesn't mean in 2 days, doesn't mean in 2 weeks, doesn't mean, we do believe it's going to happen this month, but it might slide into May. But we might decide that we do want to take longer. And now all of a sudden it's in October. We already told you this is not a timeline. It's not some logistics work that you're doing, like in the case of the takedown, where we have aliens having to pick up people and ships having to get ready and chambers having to get ready. This is completely emotional work. So we cannot tell you how long it's going to take you, Lorrayne, to feel like, yeah, this is done. I'm done with this piece. How long it's going to take Clea to say, yeah, this is it. Could happen next Tuesday. Could happen, 6 months from now. We don't know. We are telling you, you believe it's still imminent, but you're still working on this. You are not completed. Now, we already said, you feel like you're nearing completion, and these are the dreams Clea's had confirming this, but you're not completed. If you were completed, it would be here. Now, the second it happens, you will know that you're completed. And it's not a matter of how many of you have completed this work. It doesn't mean that one person has done this consciously and therefore it's okay. We already said the point of this overtime was to do this work consciously. So many of you probably noticed in the Telegram group as well, many of you have changed your tune. This is how you can tell that people have really done the work. Like Mel, for example, used to have such a need to be, and we're just bringing up Mel as an example. Not that Mel has done any more or any less, any worse or any better than anybody else. She's doing the work consciously. This is why we're using her as an example. She's a master like everybody else. So she was just mentioning in the Telegram group that she's now shutting down one at a time. She used to have such high need, and need quote unquote, to keep her personal shell in place, to go to these very scary intel news. And she also paid the consequences physically, because of course we know that depending on the level of vibration that we are attracted to or that we pay attention to, our body can only clear so much. We are going through a lot. So she was even sick because of the things that she was watching. But because she wanted to be in that vibration, she was doing as much as she could, and we've all done this, to keep her personal shell in place. And what is the personal shell here? The way we've had to keep it in place is to go to lower vibrational things, because we think, we believe, and not because we're crazy, but because we've seen it, that this game is low vibration. So if low vibrational things are happening, guess what? We're still in the game. This is what we're talking about. So Mel has done nothing different from any one of us. But so as the resistance has lessened to where we were going through, as our evolution is happening, we see, we notice, we take notice of the fact that things are not as low vibration anymore. For example, Clea's life has become a lot better finally, because she stopped putting up resistance to the fact, yeah, this is real, this is what's happening. I don't want to ignore stuff anymore. I don't want the shield anymore, I don't want the veil. The veil is almost inexistent. We already said that. And yeah, I'm ready. I mean, I'm doing what I need to do. That's fine. And same with Mel, same with many others. Again, we're only using Mel as an example because just so happens, probably yesterday or 2 days ago, she posted something in the Telegram group saying, I'm shutting down. I'm not resonating with a lot of these people anymore, even New Age spirituality or Intel community, because they do fear porn, basically. They tell you all these things, and I'm just not interested anymore. I do not consent. And how do we consent to things? Is by giving our attention. Where our attention is, that's where our intention is. And I'm just going to repeat this because it created such a real discernment in my mind, the way that they put it. Where our attention is, that's where our intention is. Because our outside reality is a reflection of our internal reality, of what we're trying to do. And so that was an interesting comment. Claire took note of that and said, clearly, I see a huge development here. And again, not that she's getting better as an essence, and we're laughing. The higher self is always perfect. And somebody else also commented saying, yeah, whenever I see fear mongering, I switch off. The person is off because we are not really interested. We're not as desperate as we were before to maintain our personal shell in place. And because of that, we don't need to go to the low vibrational things. Claire was doing this in terms of, we already talked about the condo association fees. We already talked about the car. She doesn't need that anymore. And all of a sudden, these situations have come to a conclusion. And now her life is a lot more positive. She doesn't have as many breakdowns anymore because she doesn't need them. She's okay. She's not resisting as much. Another example we can give you, David, and this is EDC, was somebody who used to post all kinds of intel that was very scary, was meant to be scary, was meant to keep us here in the game, right? And he now made a comment to somebody last week where he absorbed the fact that, oh, look, how interesting. The dark says so many things. They say all the things that they want to do, and nothing is working, which is what we've been telling you from the beginning. You're done. You do want to keep the shell in place, the outer, the greater shell in place. So you're keeping it. And part of the dark was helping us. They're all gone now. So there's really nobody left. It's only us. It's only us now going to New Earth, which is the reason Clay is asking this question, saying, if it's only us, then what's the story? But we'll go to that in a minute as you read the rest of the question. So there's only us. So really, there's no dark supporting anything. The NPCs talk. Of course, the NPCs have to talk. We want them. We are using them. We are intending for them to make it look like we're still in the same video game, okay? In the same video game as before. But the fact is that even David was like, oh, look, but nothing comes through. Just because somebody talks doesn't mean stuff has to happen. But in the past, they came up with this idea that said, we're going to have a war. And we would be like, yes, 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 yes. Of course, on the surface, we might have said, no, no, peace. Same thing. You are supporting the idea, right? We already said the only way to collapse an idea is you remove your focus from it. So whether you're saying peace, 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 or war, 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 it's the same thing. I know it sounds crazy. I know that at a 3D level, we're like, oh, but I want peace. But the moment that you want peace, you are playing the game. Because what does peace entail? It means that the idea of war is real. If you think the idea of war is real, it is real. You are supporting it. Whether you like it or you don't like it, you're against it. The moment you're against it, you're supporting it. The idea of war is just an idea. It's not real. But the moment that I want to invest myself in the idea of peace, I made the idea of war real. It's all the same game. And this I want to take a little break here to say, a little pause here to say this was hard for me to hear because, of course, I've always been in the realm of peace, peace, peace. And I've realized since I did remove my focus from all the screaming and yelling, that's what I call it, happening in the other world, on television, etc., as I've shut everything down, I realized nothing is real. It's just what I intend. What I intend is what transpires around me. So if I pay no attention, these are just talking heads. The politicians, for example, they've always been just talking heads. If you just laugh when they say something or even like, oh, whatever, all of a sudden they lose all their power because their only true power is in talking. And then we go and do the work. And you probably heard this explained in New Age spiritual community, because they talk about the fact that they say, oh, they cannot create, the dark cannot create, we have to create for them. This is just how we creatively rework the truth into our reality. The bottom line is that obviously we could all create in the past, and we have, and the dark basically supported many, many ideas just by themselves and had them passed. There were enough people supporting it. But right now, it's only us, so we can intend whatever we want, and we are. There are a lot of things. Things are a lot lighter in general in our reality. I'm going to continue reading here. We do believe you have understood this more and more as well. We are very, very pleased with the progress we've seen. And again, not progress because anybody's getting any better. However, we have stayed behind to achieve this project that is showing the entire multiverse that we do create our reality. And that we do understand that if we are creating our reality, everything else is not real. And so that's why this is important. Not that this is important because somebody not understanding this is wrong in any way. We already said we all align with what we need to do. However, in this particular case, our project was to become conscious of the fact that nothing is real, that we create everything, okay? So in this sense, you can see this as a signpost, a small signpost of the evolution we have had at the level of conscious awareness. Our higher self has no evolution. They were laughing. The higher self has known this all along. There are no secrets. This is why we're doing this, right? So this is very good news. Clea is watching all these signs from people saying, wow, this is a complete 180 degree from where we were, and no judgment to these people. Clea is watching our own life saying, wow, I'm very different. I react very differently. I feel very differently from how I felt even 6 months ago. We're all going through this, so the work is being done. You can even track it at 3D. So yeah, please read the rest of the question, because we would like to go to the part where are we doing this? Because as we said, there's nobody else left. It's just 3.5 million of us. So Clea's wondering why we're still doing this work here. Lorrayne, what additional emotional work must be finished before we can manifest the recall? Me. Yeah, it's just a matter of fully becoming aware that we control everything. And while we have made a lot of progress. Remember, we're also bridging the gap to where we will have no veil. So we're still working on it. We are not completely done yet. And all of us, it's not that one is done. You know, Clea's here tapping her foot while she's waiting for other people to catch up. It's not about that. We said it's not a matter of how many people have to do this, you know. It's almost like you're in a class and how many people have to pass a test kind of thing. And they were chuckling. So no, none of us feels completed just yet. But again, this may be a matter of days. It doesn't have to be necessarily a long process. But then again, we might decide that we want to take a few more months to complete this. We're really not in a hurry in that sense. Now, we have said we are rushing in some ways because we are becoming. It's almost like, you know, if time were real, we'll use an expression from 3D. It's almost like you're running against time in the sense that as we become more and more aware, of course, we become aware not only that we create our reality, but also the fact that everything is fake, which is very painful to us. Because now we see the NPCs, including our loved ones. And this is very painful to us to know that they're gone. So we are, in that sense, running against time. It's almost like two sides of the same coin. And we're going to be satisfied at a point where we have achieved what we wanted to achieve, but also there's still enough of a veil in place where we can handle the fact that if we want to pretend that we can still see our loved ones, but it's not going to last much longer. We already said at some point it will be impossible for us to pretend, but we don't want to be doing this morning here because the energy is still very dense here and it will be much more supportive on New Earth. So we really want to go to New Earth to continue doing the work we've been doing. So we are, in that sense, running against time. Lorrayne, I've taken myself to a point because I was emotionally invested in the timeline and that was making me crazy. So I've emotionally detached myself most of the time. That doesn't mean it happens all the time. From matrix heights and depths. I don't get caught up in it. I just observe what's happening. And in my mind, I go, oh, that's interesting. I'm not emotionally invested in the game and I'm not emotionally invested in the time. Me. Good for you. That's a good way of coping because we are doing a lot. There's a lot going on. That's a good way of keeping yourself in a very balanced state. Lorrayne, sane. She was laughing. Me. Yeah, in a balanced state. And not to say that you're not doing the work. You're doing as much work as everybody else. But you're keeping yourself emotionally stable in that way, which is wonderful. Especially because we said many, many times now, there is no timeline for this project because it's not a timeline. Like when we gave you a timeline for the takedown, which has taken place. The only thing that has not taken place is that some of us are still here and the planet has not been taken down. Everything else for the 300 years that was supposed to get done has been done. And we're just telling you the pace of work. So we could give you a timeline or an estimated timeline. We cannot tell you how long you are going to decide, where you are going to decide, yes, I feel fulfilled. I feel fully fulfilled that we've done what we wanted to do. This is really up to you. Lorrayne. So in talking about not feeling the same as we did 6 months ago, I was raised with the concept of we are everything, but I now really embody that concept. For instance, I observe all these quote unquote evil things that are happening in the matrix and the quote unquote evil people. And I really embody the concept that, they're just expressing half of the full potentiality of this game. And I'm not looking at them as evil people. I'm just looking at them as us, all of us. Now I know that the majority of them have left. And here are the 25th corrected. All of them have left. Lorrayne, all of them. I'm not investing in any of that duality. I'm really immersing myself in the idea of fun and play. And it's the way that I'm coping. But I'm also finding myself so different on a visceral level of what I knew, quote unquote, growing up and who I am now. Me. Yeah, absolutely. You will notice, of course, the changes. Yeah, this is part of doing the conscious work. So thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one and take care. Bye-bye.